Good day and welcome to another edition of Outside of Genie, where we will be looking at the racing today from Greyville on the poly track, today being the 1st of February. Before we do that, I just want to quickly reflect on our things of yesterday at Scottsville, where we had a reasonable day. We gave you some nice horses, one or two horses had won and run places, but we also gave you the pick six after the PA twice. So the outlay was 64 Rand. So for your 64 Rand, you got back 232 Rand. And our 108 Rand pick six just went out one leg, and that was where Rise was beaten on the line by Bacall. I was shouting that horse Rise home, as it was also one of our value bets. The other value bet was Sat Star, but that was scratched. And then our base bet for the day was number 2, race 4, number 2, H2O, at 40 to 10. That came home smoking a pipe. So that won very nicely. So for the guys who are members and got my selections, were in the money yesterday again. So let's look at Greyville Poly today, where we have 8 races on the Poly track. And we kick off with race 1. Let's have a look at the betting. The betting as follows: number 5, QS VAR 3 to 1, Vinho's Boy 7 to 2, Duchess of Cornwall 7 to 2, Steeler Loy 13 to 2, 13 to 2, Lord Carrow 8, 9 to 1, Cleto 12 to 1, Fighton, They Don't Know Me, Zubeni 20 to 1, Guy Fox 28 to 1, and 75 to 1, Mr. Sandman. Now let's have a look here. And my first selection is number 5, which is number 5 is QSY, which is the favorite coming from Cape Town. This horse has run reasonable races. Notably, if you have a look, you'll see the name Russian Rock. Now, that does not need any introduction, because Russian Rock won the Cape Guineas at a long price, and then Fighter won again last week. So making this form very strong, as this is now like there's now 3 winners out of that race won by Fighter. This horse comes out of a short race, but I'm sure if the horse will be fit enough. Then we are outside the selection for this race is number 8, which is Lord Carrow. Lord Carrow often runs places, and yeah, definitely I think can be in the places again today. But be careful, this jockey Dylan is riding well, and might surprise and try and steal the race. As I see, this horse often goes up to the front, but always gets run out of it. So keep an eye on that. And my other outside selection is a first time, a Flower Alley by Zirconium. This horse is very well bred, but I would think that the distance, this horse would be looking for distance, but put it in the back end of your quartets and trifectas, as I got a claimer on -4. So I think if this horse was really ready to win, they would have probably engaged a more senior jockey. So maybe a horse that you want to include in the back end of your quartets. Other horses with chances, number 2, Windows Boy, has run also a couple of places on the poly, free runs, 1 second place, but is not always far up. Last time out on the poly behind Winter Waves, needed run. So include that. Maybe number 1 is also a horse that you maybe want to include, and another horse that you can look at for inclusion is number 3, Cleto, and as well might did run off a nice 2 runs back, but last time out disappointed. But as I say, not a very strong field. Yes, Guy Fox, maybe if you want to look at that. Yeah, so, but I think all in all that the favorite number 5 might be too good in this field. Then here's number 10, Duchess of Cornwall. Also a horse that has run a few places on the poly. So also maybe want to look at that to include into your betting, into your bets. Race number 2 is a maiden plate fillies and mares over 1400 meters. Let's have a look at the betting. Here the betting is as follows. Number 3, Wave Crest, 3 to 1. 7 to 2, Spicy Hot. 4 to 1, 2 for T. Perfect Display, 7 to 1. 9 to 1, Polynesius, Never Ending Love 12, 12 to 1, Pacific Fate, and 16 to 1, and longer the rest. When I had to look at the field, when I saw my first inclination, number one, Spicy Hot, is going to run a huge race here, and I stick with that. I think the 1400 meters will suit this horse. Raymond Danielson did have a winner on Sunday. It's drawn one, and I think that this horse is going to run a nice race. It ran a 23.9, 400 to finish in its first race, and it says here battle to quicken. Okay, but they did run on well, and I think, but I do feel that this horse is maybe bred for this distance. Then my other outsider selections is number 8, Belly Good. Now, this horse did debut over 1200 meters, but today going over 1400 meters, lost 5 lengths. Um, I just got a feeling that this horse might be a little bit better than this first run. So do include in the back ends of your quartet and trifectas. My other outsider selection is number 11, Pollinaceous, from the same stable as number 1. Also a horse that wasn't far behind in his 2 runs, 5 lanes and 6 lanes, and can certainly improve on that form. Gareth Wright, who normally have the choice of rides, is a number 11, but that's drawn a little bit wide. But on the poly, sometimes I'm not too concerned about the wide draws, as the horses often comes to the outside rail to finish off the race. But again, not a very strong field. You don't have to be a very world beater to win here. Here's number 6, Justin Snape's stable. Always a stable that you have to consider. This horse also looking to improve. And then also have a look at number 3, which is Wave Crest, which is the favorite. Um, that runner is better. His last 2 races was in improvement race. But what concerns me with number 3 is that they put it over a longer distance, then it doesn't run too well. Then they put it back over a shorter distance, and it did improve. But now they're putting it back over the 1400 meters, but they're getting the -2.5 and a good draw. So certainly in with a chance, but definitely not a horse that I will run to put my money on in the first race, in the second race. So let's move on to the third race, which is another maiden plate over 1600 meters this time. So the betting as follows. Number 7, Flying Peter, 22 to 10. Number 10, Maestro Sonador, 4 to 1. Mr. Piggy Harley, 6 to 1. Master Joe, 7 to 1. Montana Sky, 8, 9 to 1. 12 to 1, Freedom Dancer, Blue Planet, and 14 to 1 along with the rest. So here in race 3, my first selection is number 10, which is Maestro Sonador. Master of my fate by a Surging River mare. This horse is having his first run after a gelding. Was gelded in September. Unfortunately, drawn a little bit wide on 10, but did run a very good race behind Good Time Guy. And Good Time Guy, if I'm not mistaken, has won again, or is about to win again. But he certainly did ran a better race. Maybe the 1600 meters will also suit. So our first choice here, number 10, Master Sonador. Our outsider selections is number 2, which is Mr. Pigali. Did run an improved race after his first 2 races behind Mubin and that stayed on. Therefore, I think that the 1600 meters will suit number 2, Mr. Pigali. And then my other outsider selection is number 8, Montana Sky, sorry. Montana Sky has also been running a few places over this course and distance, 2 runs of second and a fourth. And I see Samuels did win the other day for the stable at a very long price. So number 8, Montana Sky, definitely not without a prayer in this race. Here we have the favorite, number 7, Flying Peter, Dean Kaname and Keegan de Mello. So I see he's back from Cape Town, now going to ride in Natal, because again, this month the jockeys cannot travel between centers. So all of them where they are starting on, where they are riding on the 1st of February, that is where they're going to stay. So I'm sure Dean Kaname is glad to have King in the Meadow back here in KwaZulu-Natal. And the horse, not without a chance, has run some decent races. Last time out, only 1.55 behind Mexican. Got Cat Dance, and then before that run 2 races, fastest 400 to finish. So certainly the Flying Peter, a worthy favourite, but I just think that number 10 can show more improvement, therefore my first choice. We then move on to race number 4, which is a motivated 65 handicap over 1600 meters. And here we have the betting as follows: A Whole New World 5-2, Brandenburg 5-1, Avenir 5-1, Cherokee Chief 9-2, Viking Red 11-1, Perfectly Flight 11-1, Brigade 12-1. Straight up 40-1 and longer the rest. So here in race number 4, my first selection is number 4, which is Brandenburg. Now, if you have a look in this race, it's an E division, class E 16 average merit rating. Now, if you have a look here at Brandenburg, Brandenburg has run in B divisions in Cape Town. Pinkerton did win again on Saturday. Rocking Ringo has won a few races since January. Katak, this was finished 5 rings behind Katak. We all know how good the Katak is. I mean, Katak won those 3 big races in Cape Town, has now been exported. So I think for this horse to finish 5.5 lengths behind, certainly a good effort. Else, my daddy has also won again. Brother Louise, no donkey. Noah's Boy is also a horse that I thought a lot of. So I'm thinking number 4, Brandenburg in this race. It's a 66-year-old. Can't improve that much, but certainly I think number 4, Brandenburg, not without a prayer. Sean Wheel from draw 4. Then my other outsider selections is number 1, which is Cherokee Chief, Golf Puller and Stable. This horse also did win his maiden, and then didn't run too bad, 7 innings and 6 being. But I think a nice outsider that you can include. It's nicely bred as a Savannah by Arador Mare. Unfortunately, I see this horse cost 450,000 rand. I doubt if they're ever going to recover that, but yeah, that's how life goes. You take your chances. And then my other outsider selection is number 5, Avenir. The young Gareth van Sail is having a good run for Mr. Ferreira did win the last race yesterday with a long shot. And I think this horse, Avenir, did won its first race. And then did run some decent races. I think was off for a while from... No, it's not average. I'm mistaken. But Russ has run against some decent opposition that you see here, CCB, Class C. And I think also this horse much better than his form. Like definitely a horse that you want to include in all your bets. In other selections you're going to have a look at is number 8, A Whole New World, which is the favorite, getting the -2.5, 59. Did run well behind King's Cove last time, but I can tell you, really, King's Cove is not the world beater. But yeah, the horse did win, and this horse was just behind it. So number 8, A Whole New World, certainly in with a huge chance in this race. Other horses that you want to maybe look at is number 10, Fate Black, another Kannemeyer King in the Meadow combination. This horse is often run there and thereabouts, so maybe include in the back ends of your quartets and trifectas. Then we move on to race number 5, which is a measured 70 handicap over 2,000 meters, class D67. So here the betting is as follows. Number 4, Cool Apache, 4-1. Tiger Tank, 4-1, 9-2, So Smooth. Origami, 13-10. Fire on the track, 8-1, 10-1, Mambo Symphony. Queen's Cowboy, 12-1, and longer the rest. Now, race 5, my selection here is number 12, Fire on the Track. As a matter of fact, I went for this horse last time out as well, and I just feel that I do want to give it a chance. It has just won a maiden, but did run well last time out on top of the world over the scores and distance. Anton Marcus aboard in a 69. Today running in a 67, so slightly different. I'm not worried about a 12 draw because this horse do tend to run on. But the thing that caught me about this, caught my eye about this horse is really a good finisher. If you look here, in his last 5 runs, he was 4 out of 5 times. He was as fast as 400 to finish. Guys, and I've said so many times before, for me, that is what I'm looking in a horse, because you're looking for a horse that can finish off a race. And certainly number 12, Fire on the Track, do fall into that category. And that's why my recommendation, number 12, race 5, number 12, Fire on the Track. My outsider selections is number 2, which is Mamba Symphony, also a golf cooler inmate, coming from Joburg, has had 1 run on the turf, now first time out on the poly. The Mamba saddles, they do tend to run nicely on the poly. It's also out of a Silvano mare. This horse is very nicely bred. Tirsa has thrown some nice foals as well. And as you can see, this horse has been running against far strong opposition. Here it ran an 83, a 78, a 75, a 68, a 77. You know, this horse has been running against some strong opposition, a 74. Now here finding himself in a 67, definitely in with a huge chance. Number 2, Mamba Symphony. And then number 11 is my other outsider, Kerrari's Cowboy. Is also a 4-year-old by Wintermeer. Has also been running well, also been running against slightly stronger here and there, getting a -2.5, although drawn 11, but I'm sure that won't be a problem. And Kerrari's Cowboy certainly in the category of providing an upset. Other horses we can have a look at here is the favorite number 4, Kudapachi. Kudapachi has won his maiden 2 runs ago. Didn't run well his first run after the maiden, but didn't improve in his second run out of the maiden behind Koshi.com. And I think that this filly from the Apache by Shamet May can continue forward progress and also being involved in the finish. Then we look at some race 6. Race 6 is a merit rated handicap, class D, 68. Let's have a look at the betting. Here the betting is as follows. Number 1, Leslie's Park for me, 7-2. Parktown 9-2. Amman 5-1. Theravada 15-2. Tarzan 8-1. Phil's Power 8-1. Majorca Palace 12-1. And 16-1 and better the rest. Now let's have a look at race 6, where my first choice is number 6, and that is Awam. Amman. This horse is running well over the 1200 meters, course and distance, 3 runs, 1 win and a third. Again, Kahnemeyer and the Miller combination. This horse has run against strong opposition that he's finding here. He's now finding himself in a D68 and has run before in 61, 75 and a 72, 76 in his last 2 runs. Now coming back in class to a D division, and I'm thinking that this Amwam is going to run a huge race in this class, because here we have him on a C division 75, just been beaten by Kingston Rock, and as I said, down in division, so number 6 Awam certainly in with a huge chance. My outsider selections is number 2 Presumptions. Also has run a nice runs 2 runs ago behind Petsula, and then a little bit in a higher division last time out that didn't kick on. But now again we've got Aston Harris, Mark Dixon, and I'm sure number 2 is going to improve on his last effort. My other outsider selection is number 3 Joint Effort. Joint Effort also a horse, but I would think that maybe the 1400 might be a little bit, the 1200 meters might be a little bit short, but he did one well on his maiden, coming from behind, forward up, and then I just got a feeling that this horse is going to improve today, so do include in all your play. Then another horse that I want to talk about is number 9 Theravada. When Theravada ran 3rd here behind Mated Magic that day, I really like him. I was 1400 meters. This horse that day paid R9.60 for a place, and then followed up with a second behind Global Ash. But I think I would really say I want to give the horse a chance, but the 1200 meters might just be a little bit short. But maybe you want to chuck it into your quartets and trifectas, just for in case that the horse do um, that the distance suits number 9 Theravada. And also other selections in this race. Number 7, Parktown, Justin Snave. This horse has also run some nice races in Kenilworth and now finds itself in Natal and certainly can bring forward that Cape Town form. I see this horse cost 500 Rand as a yearling, so certainly must be a bit of a looker and can definitely be involved and has run against stronger opposition. Again, finding, then he's running here. So number 7, Parktown, not without a prayer. Then we move on to the next race, which is race 7. It's a maiden rate at 72 handicap, class D, average maiden rate in 69. Let's have a look at race 7. Race 7, here you'll feel your beating as follows. Transtoric 11-2, Calgary 6-1, Rite of Passage 6-1, Bravo Zulu 7-1, Tromsø 7-1, Bordeaux 7-1, Pacific Winter 8-1 and 11-1 and better the rest. We have one scratching here, number 1, Captain Cobalt. So here my selection is number 2, Pacific Winter. This horse has run against some far stronger opposition. It finds itself now in a race D69, but ran in a C78 last time. Really running a good race behind Light That Loose. That drew my attention. This combination of this trainer and jockey that have a winner last week, and it sometimes things works out in strange way. It does seem to me that this jockey Samuel is getting a lot of rides from Mr. Prince to it, and that is good. I do believe in the thing that stables must have a stable jockey because the feedback that you can get from that is immensely important. I just also want to draw your attention here to this race behind King's Road. Was also a C Division 74 on King's Road. King's Road came up here last week and won easily. So therefore, my first selection in this race, number 2, Pacific Winter. Then my outside links is number 7, Tromsø. Tromsø is also a horse that I've been following. Last time out, I followed him. He ran third behind Leslie's Spa for me. And I really do like the look of Tromsø. And I think Tromsø is going to also run a nice race here. Has also competed in some much higher divisions than it's finding here. So number 7, Tromsø, a horse not to be left out of anything. In the outsider selections, number 9 is Dallas. Dallas is also a horse that I think I do just got a feeling that this horse is much better than his form presents. Also a horse that has been running against a lot of stronger sellers. I mean, you can have a look here. Celebration Rock, a very good horse, has won about 5 or 6 races. Pearl of Asia won again the other day. And Turkey is not a donkey. Horoscope Harry also a nice winner. 2 lengths behind the tower, but 2 lengths behind Leslie's Park to me. So although this horse doesn't run places, it looks like, he hasn't run a place in his last couple of runs. But I think Dallas, with the Michael Roberts stable in form, can improve at any time. So definitely a horse not to be left out of your calculations today. Other horses that you might want to have a look at is number 4. Number 4 is Calgary, ex-PE horse. Last time out, I think, went too fast over the 1400 meters. Now back over the 1200 meters, which I would think would suit him better. So Calgary also a horse with a chance in this race. Then let's move on to the last race, which is the 8th race, which is a fillies and mares handicap 64, class E, average merit rate at 62. Let's have a look here at the betting. And the betting as follows. Number 8, Capriccio 4-1, Rochelle 9-2, Noble Princess 11-1, Color of Light 6-1, 8-1, Foxy Lady, Mambo Lyric 8-1, Caesar Dream 6-1, Sprite, Spring Lightning 16-1, 22-1, and longer the rest. Now here in this race, I'm going for a big outsider, and that's number 2, Spring Lightning. this Lola Curlfoot stable, they have got the knack to produce horses at the most, when unexpected time. And this was last time at 16 to 1, nearly surprised, running 5 lengths behind Flaming Sadar, ran second, but it says here East switched in, so the horse was impeded. Stuart Randall was enjoying a very good run. The horse is drawn to, the horse is like, like finding its form, and definitely I think a horse that you cannot leave out of calculations today. I also run against some strong opposition here and there, and definitely number 2, Spring Lightning, I think might spring a surprise here. And my outsider selections is number 1, Winter Monarch. This horse came off a very long rest from March 20, and then debuted in September, and then rested again in December, now again in February. So I do feel it maybe, but this horse won well, beating a horse called Great Diva. Great Diva came out and did one as a maiden year on the Poly a few months or so ago. Also, Miss Generosity has won on this course. Now getting the -4, draw 1, so only carrying 52. I just got a feeling that this horse is going to maybe, you know, improve, and maybe the 1400 meters I see by St. Petersburg by a Rambo Dancer me. Certainly, if you include this in all your play, I don't say the horse can win, but it's not always about winning. You know, when you play quartets and trifectas, it's finding that outsider selection that will, if it do come in, will give you the bigger dividend, and that's what you're looking for. So do include Winter Monarch in your play. And then my other outsider selection is number 3, which is Foxy Lady, another Prince to inmate. Now this trainer, Mr. Prince, it looks like he found his feet, and yeah, his horses are running well. Again, Samuel on board, drawn 3, did won a maiden 2 runs ago, but has not been running badly on the Poly. Now going to 1400 meters, and we'll have to see how it goes. But the way the horse runs, I'm sure he will be running on at the end, Foxy Lady. And other horses you want to maybe have a look at is number 8. There's the favorite Capriccio. Capriccio also won his maiden 2 runs back, and since then has run 2 nice races. But I do feel that Capriccio Capriccio can follow up in this race. Can also be involved in a finish. It's not a certainty, but definitely not without a prayer. So that brings us to the end of our preview. I hope I could point you in the right direction. And as I always say, break a leg.